Hi, here we are. We are going to read Beowulf, starting at chapter 21 today. Or excuse me, chapter 22. Yep, chapter 22. This is Dover Thrift Edition, 2015, and translated by Robert K. Gordon. And here we go. Oops, I forgot to put my thing up. There we go. Beowulf spoke, son of Ecgtheow. Sorrow not, wise warrior. It is better for each to avenge his friend than greatly to mourn. Each of us must needs await the end of life in the world. Let him who can achieve fame ere death. That is best for a noble warrior when life is over. Rise up, guardian of the realm. Let us go quickly hence to behold the track of Grendel's kinswoman. I promise these shall not escape under covering darkness, nor in the earth's embrace, nor in the mountain forest, nor in the water's depths. Go where she will. Have thou, as I expect from thee, patience for all thy woes this day. The aged one leaped up then, thanked God, the mighty Lord, for what the man spoke. Then Hrothgar's horse was bitted, the steed with twisted mane. The wise prince went forth in splendor. The foot troop of shield-bearing warriors stepped forward. The tracks were widely seen along the forest paths, the course over the fields. Away over the dark moor she went. She bore the best of thanes, reft of life, who in Hrothgar ruled the land. Then the son of princess strode over the high rocky cliffs, the narrow paths, the straitened tracks, the unknown road, the steep crags, many a monster's abode. He with a few other wise men went ahead to spy out the land, until suddenly he found the mountain trees hanging above the gray rock. The water beneath lay blood-stained and troubled. All the Danes, the friends of the Scyldings, were mournful in mood. Many a thane had to suffer. There was sorrow for many of the earls. When they found Esher's head on the cliff by the mere, the flood surged with blood, with hot gore. The people beheld it. At times the horn sang its eager war song. The troop all sat down. Then they saw along the water many of the dragon kind, strange sea dragons moving over the mere. Also monsters lying on the rocky headlands. Then at midday the dragons and wild beasts often go on a sorrowful journey on the sail road. They fell away bitter and angered. They heard the clang, the war horn sounding. The prince of the Geats with his bow parted one of them from life, from the struggle of the waves, so that the stout water shaft stood in his heart. He was the more sluggish at swimming in the water, because death carried him off. Speedily the wondrous wave-dweller was hard-pressed in the waves, with boar spears of deadly barbs, beset by hostile attacks and drawn out on the headland. The men beheld the dread creature. Beowulf clad himself in warrior's armor. He lamented not his life. The war corslet, hand-woven, broad, cunningly adorned, must needs try the water. It knew how to guard his body, so that the grip of war might not wound his heart. The malicious clutch of an angry foe his life, and the gleaming helmet, which was to mingle with the depths of the mere, to seek the welter of the waves, decked with treasure, circled with diadems, as the smith of weapons brought it in days long past, wondrously adorned it, set it round with boar images, guarded his head so that no sword or battle blades could pierce it. That was not the least then of mighty helps that Hrothgar's squire lent him in his need. That hilted sword was called Hrunting. It was an excellent old treasure. The brand was iron, marked with poisonous twigs, hardened in the blood of battle. It never failed any men in war who seized it with their hands, who ventured to go on dire journeys to the meeting place of foes. That was not the first time that it was to accomplish a mighty deed. In truth, the son of Ecglaf, mighty in strength, did not remember what erstwhile he spoke when drunken with wine, when he lent the weapon to a better sword warrior. He himself durst not risk his life beneath the tossing of the waves, accomplish heroic deeds. There he forfeited fame, repute for might. Not so was it with the other when he had clad himself for war. End of chapter 22. Here we are, 23. Beowulf spoke, son of Ecgtheow. Consider now, famous son of Helfdene, wise prince, gold friend of warriors. Now I am ready for the venture. What we spoke of a while since, if I should depart from life in thy cause, that thou shouldest ever be in the place of a father when I am gone. Be thou a guardian to my followers, my comrades, if war takes me. Likewise, dear Hrothgar, do thou send the treasures thou hast given me to Hygelac. The lord of the Geats may perceive by that gold, the son of Hrethel may see when he looks upon the treasure, that I found an excellent good giver of rings, that I took joy while I could. And do thou let Unferth have the ancient blade, the far-famed man have the precious sword with wavy pattern and sharp edge. I shall achieve fame for myself with runting, or death will carry me off. After those words, the prince of the Wetter Geats hastened exceedingly. He would in no wise wait for an answer. The surge of waters received the war hero. Then there was a spell of time ere he might behold the bottom of the mere. She who had held for 50 years the domain of the floods, eager for battle, grim and greedy, discovered straightway that a man was seeking from above the dwelling of monsters. She reached out against him then, seized the warrior with dread claws. Nevertheless, she injured not the sound body. The ring-mail guarded it round about so that she could not pierce the corslet, the locked mail skirt with hostile fingers. When she came to the bottom, the sea-wolf bore the Prince of Rings to her lair, so that he could not, yet was he brave, use weapons, and too many monsters set upon him in the water. Many a sea-beast rent his war-corslet. With battle tusks they pursued the hero. Then the earl noticed he was in some kind of a hostile hall, where no water in any way touched him, nor could the sudden clutch of the flood come near him because of the roofed hall. He saw the light of fire, a gleaming radiance shining brightly. Then the valiant one perceived the she-wolf of the depths, the mighty mere woman. He repaid the mighty rush with the battle sword. The hand drew not back from the stroke, so that the sword adorned with rings sang a greedy war chant on her head. Then the stranger found that the sword would not bite or injure life, but the edge failed the prince in his need. It had endured in times past many battles, often laid cut through the helmet, the mail of a doomed man. That was the first time for the costly treasure that its repute failed. Once again the kinsman of Hygelac was resolute, mindful of heroic deeds. No wit lacks in courage. When the angry warrior cast down the sword with its twisted ornaments, set round with decorations so that it lay on the ground, strong and steel-edged, he trusted in its strength, his mighty hand-grip. Thus a man must needs do when he is minded to gain lasting praise in war, no cares for his life. Then the prince of the War-Geats seized Grendel's mother by the hair. He feared not the fight. The stern in strife he swung the monster in his wrath so that she bent to the ground. She quickly gave him requital again with savage grips and grasped out toward him. Weary in mood then, she overthrew the strongest of fighters, the foot warrior, so that he fell down. Then she sat on the visitor to her hall and drew her knife, broad and bright-edged. She was minded to avenge her child, her only son. The woven breast-net lay on his shoulder, that guarded his life. It opposed the entrance of point and edge. Then the son of Ecgtheow, the hero of the Geats, would have found death under the wide waters of the war-corslet. the stout battle-net had not afforded him help, and if holy God, the wise Lord, had not achieved victory in war, the ruler of the heavens brought about a right issue, when once more he stood up with ease. End of chapter 23. Here we are at chapter 24. He saw then among weapons a victorious blade, an old sword of giants, strong in its edges, the glory of warriors. That was the choicest of weapons, save only it was greater than any other man could bear to the battle play, trusty and splendid, the work of giants. The hero of the Scyldings, angered and grim in battle, seized the belted hilt, wielded the ring-marked sword, despairing of life, he struck furiously, so that it gripped her hard against the neck. It broke the bone rings. The blade went straight through the doomed body. She fell on the floor. The brand was bloody. The man rejoiced in his work. The gleam was bright. The light stood within, just as the candle of the sky shines serenely from heaven. He went along the dwelling, then he turned to the wall. Higelac's thane, raging and resolute, raised the weapon firmly by its hilts. The sword was not useless to the warrior, but he was minded quickly to requite Grendel for the many onslaughts which far more than once he made on the West Danes, when he slew Hrothgar's heart companions in their sleep, devoured 15 men of the Danish people while they slumbered, and bore away as many more, a hateful sacrifice. He, the furious hero, avenged that upon him. There where he saw Grendel lying, weary of war, reft of life, as erstwhile the battle at Heorot dispatched him. The body gaped wide, when after death it suffered a stroke, a hard battle blow, and then he hewed off his head. Straightway the wise men who gazed on the mere with Hrothgar saw that the surge of waves was all troubled, the water stained with blood. Gray-haired old men spoke together of the valiant man, that they did not expect to see the chieftain again, or that he should come as a conqueror to seek the famous prince. Then it seemed to many that the sea-wolf had slain him. Then came the 9th hour of the day. The bold Scyldings forsook the headland. Thence the gold friend of men departed homewards. The strangers sat sick at heart and stared at the mere. They felt desire and despair of seeing their friendly lord himself. Then that sword, the battle brand, began to vanish in drops of gore after the bloodshed and fight. That was a great wonder, that it all melted like ice when the Father loosens the bond of the frost, unbinds the fetters of the floods. He has power over times and seasons. That is the true Lord. The prince of the Wettergeats took no more of the precious hoardings in those haunts, though he saw many there, save the head, and with it the treasure-decked hilts. The sword had melted before. The inlaid brand had burned away, so hot was that blood, and so poisonous the alien spirit who died in it. Straightway he felt to be swimming. He, who before in the struggle endured the fall of foes, dived up through the water. The wave surges were all cleansed, the great haunts where the alien spirit gave up his life in this fleeting state. Then the protector of seamen, brave-minded, came swimming to land. He took pleasure in the sea booty, in the mighty burden which he bore with him. They went to meet him, the excellent troop of thanes. They thanked God. They rejoiced in the prince that they could behold him safe and sound. Then helm and corslet were loosened with speed from off the brave man. The lake lay still, the water under the clouds, stained with the blood of battle. They set out thence on the foot-tracks, joyous at heart. They paced the path, the well-known street. Men nobly bold bore the head from the cliff with toil for each of the very brave ones. 4 men with difficulty had to carry Grendel's head to the gold hall on the battle spear, until of a sudden the 14 brave warlike Geats came to the hall. Their lord trod the fields about the mead hall with them, fearless among his followers. Then the prince of Thanes, the man bold in deeds, made glorious with fame, the hero terrible in battle, came in to greet Hrothgar. Then Grendel's head was borne by the hair into the hall where the men were drinking, a dread object for the earls and the queen with them. The men looked at the wondrous sight. All right, we'll quit there. Next will be chapter 25. That's the end of chapter 24.